Dear viewers, imagine this. You are sitting on your porch enjoying a peaceful evening. The air is cool, the sky is clear, and life feels just fine. But suddenly, dark clouds roll in, the wind picks up, and before you know it, a storm hits unplanned, unexpected, and unstoppable. Now ask yourself, if this storm swept through your life today, not just in weather but financially, are you prepared to face it? This is the story of Arif, a young farmer who thought he had all the time in the world. Like many of us, he believed life's calm would last forever. Until one storm changed everything. What happened next taught him a lesson about savings that we can all learn from. Stay with me as we uncovered Arif's journey and the life changing power of savings for the unexpected. It was a bright Sunday morning in the peaceful village of Green Willow. The fields were lush, the air was filled with the smell of freshly bloomed flowers, and the sound of the nearby river added a soothing melody to the day. Arif, a cheerful young farmer, sat on his wooden porch with a cup of steaming tea in hand. For Arif, life was simple and good. He had enough to eat, a roof over his head, and fields that promised a good harvest. Why worry about tomorrow when today is so beautiful? He often thought. Little did he know his carefree mindset was able to be tested. By midday, the calmness of the village shattered as Mr. Rahman, the village elder, rushed down the street. His voice echoed through the air. Listen, everyone, a big storm is coming. Tie down your things, protect your fields. People scrambled to prepare. Children ran to gather their toys, farmers secured their livestock, and the village buzzed with urgency. But Arif, he leaned back on his chair and took another sip of tea. It's just another storm. They come and go. Why should I waste my energy worrying? He muttered to himself. The villagers glanced at him, puzzled by his lack of concern, but Arif's confidence remained unshaken until the storm arrived. As evening approached, the sky turned an eerie shade of grey. Clouds rolled in, and the first drops of rain hit the ground. At first, it was just a drizzle, but soon the rain turned into a torrential downpour. The wind howled like a wild beast, tearing leaves from trees and rattling windows. The peaceful village transformed into a chaotic battlefield against nature. Arif stood by his window, his once confident smile replaced by worry. He watched helplessly as the rain flooded his fields. His crops, the only source of his income, were destroyed within hours. When the storm finally passed, it left behind a trail of distractions. Arif's heart sank as he looked at his ruined fields. The next morning, Arif walked through the village looking for help. Most of his neighbors had prepared for the storm. Their fields were protected by barriers and drains, and their losses were minimal. Feeling desperate, Arif decided to visit Fahim, an older, wiser farmer whose fields looked untouched. How did you save your crops, Fahim bhai? Arif asked, his voice heavy with defeat. Fahim pointed to a small clay jar on his shelf and smiled. This jar saved me, he said. Arif stared at the jar, confused. A jar? How can a jar save your fields? Fahim chuckled. It's my savings jar. Every month I put a little money into it. Over the years it added up. I used that money to build the barriers and drains you see around my fields. This jar didn't just save my crops, it saved my future. Arif felt a pang of regret. I never thought about saving. I always spent what I earned. I believed in enjoying life. Now I have nothing left, he admitted. Fahim placed a hand on Arif's shoulder. Savings don't just protect your money, they protect your peace of mind. It's not too late. Arif, start small. Save 10% of what you earn each month. It might seem slow, but over time, it grows. But Fahim bhai, what if I don't earn enough to save? How will I manage? Arif asked. Fahim replied, that's the trick. Start with whatever you can. Even small savings make a big difference when you are consistent. Think of it as planting seeds. A single seed may seem small, but it grows into a strong tree over time. That evening, Arif went home with a lot on his mind. The storm had taught him a hard lesson. Life is unpredictable. He realized he needed to change. He found an empty jar in his kitchen, dusted it off, and placed it on a shelf. From now on, this will be my savings jar, he thought. At first, it wasn't easy. Arif was tempted to spend the little money he had on small luxuries, a new shirt, a better meal at the bazaar, but he remembered Fahim's words and stayed disciplined. Week by week, the jar filled up. The sound of coins clinking against the clay became a source of joy for Arif. It reminded him that he was building something for his future. Months passed and Arif's savings grew. He used the money to repair his fields and buy tools that made farming easier. Slowly, his life became more stable. One evening, as he sat on his porch with a cup of tea, Arif looked at his jar, now half full of coins and notes. A sense of peace washed over him. He realized that savings weren't just about money, they were about security, freedom, and hope. Arif's story is a lesson for all of us. Life is full of storms, unexpected expenses, emergencies, or tough times. Savings won't stop those storms, but they can help us face them with confidence. So, what about you? Do you have a savings jar ready for life's uncertainties? It doesn't matter how small you start. The important thing is to start today. Your future self will thank you. Because, just like Arif learned, a little savings can make a big difference when the storm comes. If you like our video, then consider subscribing our channel Finance with Tarek, and I will meet you in my next video. Bye bye.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين